Donald Trump just admitted on camera that he's going to use this government shutdown not as a tool for negotiation, but as a weapon against the American people. He is fighting extremely hard to put more money in the billionaires' pockets. Check this out.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently.
It's very interesting that he would decide to bring up Russell Vought. That guy's the current director of the Office of Management and Budget. Of course, he is a key author of Project 2025, which all the Republicans called the Democrats crazy conspiracy theorists for talking about. Right after that clip, he says that Russell Vought knows how to cut a budget better than anybody else. He's made it very clear this is not about fiscal policy or responsible governance. He is telling us that he will use this government shutdown to intentionally hurt innocent people. That means cutting benefits, cutting programs, and cutting healthcare, not because it's necessary, but because he wants to use that as leverage. When a president talks about cutting large numbers of people from their medical benefits during a shutdown, he's not just playing politics, he's playing with people's lives. For seniors, veterans, working families, and children, these programs are not luxuries, they are survival. A government shutdown is not caused by ordinary Americans, it's caused by a dysfunction in Congress. Republicans want to pass a spending bill that will take away money from ordinary Americans so they can give more money to the rich people. And Donald Trump's saying, it doesn't matter if you guys vote to pass this bill or not, I'm going to do it anyway.
The people who elected and put these trolls in power are finding out that the lulls are over. It's not funny anymore. It's not funny to lose your family farm. It's not funny to lose your job. It's not funny that the tariffs are absolutely devastating your small business. It's not funny that your job and education is cut, that your rural hospital is closed, that your mom got kicked out of her senior assisted living facility and now you have to find $13,000 a month. $13,000 a month for her care. It's not funny to see that you're not getting a tax cut. You're not getting a check. You're seeing the billionaires get richer and richer. It's not funny. Oh, but the bad people were going to get rounded up and now you're finding out the jobs are leaving because the people who you thought should get rounded up were actually here to create jobs in America and now they're leaving. They don't want to come back. And now the investigations that you thought were going to happen of prominent Democrats getting frog marched into the streets and detained and humiliated on national television and potentially even unalived. That's not going to happen because of the ineptitude of your own people. Yeah, I don't think they think it's funny anymore. And before you come at me with, these were just basement dwellers. No, there are plenty of people in real life who have jobs, 401ks, a family, a house, a mortgage, all of those things, have to worry about their grocery prices. Those people also thought it would be funny, also did it for the lulz. They did. I know them personally. I know they exist. And I don't think they're laughing today.
Hey everyone, welcome back and thank you so much for being here on my channel. In today's video, we are diving into a very important issue, the idea of Americans first. Or is it really Americans first or is it Americans last? Video credit goes to the original creators of these clips, so sit tight, watch closely and let's dive into the video.
Let me get this straight. Trump runs his mouth as usual, pisses off China. China then goes and buys soybeans from Argentina instead of us. Our farmers get screwed. Their profits vanish, and now they're begging for a bailout just to survive. Am I getting that right? And what does the American first president do? Does he send the money to help the farmers? Fuck no. He ships $20 billion to Argentina instead, while our farmers struggle to survive. Can somebody please tell me how this is America first? Because it seems to me like America last, and everybody but his diehard cultists can see it.
Hey MAGA! Is America first when Trump takes billions from Americans to rescue a collapsing foreign economy? Yeah, not so much, huh? Did you know Donald Trump wants to send $20 billion to Argentina to prop up their far-right president, Javier Milei? Trump calls Milei fantastic and a friend because Milei campaigned on Trump-style slogans, rails against the left, slashes social programs, and even waves chainsaws at rallies to symbolize cutting government. He's basically a South American MAGA mascot. Argentina needs the money because the country is in an economic freefall, with record inflation, a collapsing currency, and debt payments it can't cover. Milei's answer has been brutal budget cuts, higher gas and electricity prices, slashed food assistance, frozen wages, mass layoffs, and gutted schools and hospitals. In other words, Milei is making life harder for the poor, enriching the wealthy, and calling it reform. It looks exactly like Trump's playbook. Critics say Trump's bailout isn't about stabilizing Argentina. It's about helping his political twin before an election. This isn't a simple, we lend, they repay deal. It's the U.S. taking on financial risk to keep Malay afloat. If it works, markets calm down. If it fails, U.S. taxpayers lose billions. This isn't America first, it's Argentina first. $20 billion could feed 9.2 million Americans for a year on food stamps, build 80,000 affordable homes, take 1 million homeless people off the street, cover disability benefits for 1 million veterans, provide Medicare coverage for 1.3 million seniors, keep 2,000 hospitals open, fund childcare for 1.7 million kids, or pay 308,000 teachers' salaries for a year. Sorry, Americans. When Trump needs to stroke his buddy, it's Argentina first, Trump second, and regular Americans somewhere around 37th. Right between Ivanka's next trademark and the next MAGA sneaker drop. Yeah. Well, Trump, I hope you're having the day you deserve.
MAGA, this video is going to be primarily for you. And I have a question that I want to ask you, and I want to ask it in good faith. So hear me out. Put your defenses down and honest answers. So maybe you haven't heard this, but Trump is about to give Argentina a $20 billion bailout. Now, what you have to understand is a lot of the money that Trump is giving to Argentina is going to be used to help their farmers. How? That money is going to allow Argentina to drop their duty and tax restrictions on the crops that their farmers send to China and other countries. Meanwhile, in the United States, Trump is bankrupting all of our farms. Well, most of them. And almost every soy farm. Because we used to sell billions of dollars of soy to China every year. And now, what is that number this year? Absolutely fucko. That's because of the tariffs that Trump has imposed on China. So it's not hard to look at this equation. And I want you to tell me, how does this make America great again? Where you tariff the shit out of your own businesses, your own farmers in the United States to the point where they go out of business, and you support the farmers in Argentina to the point where you give Argentina $20 billion. I'm just curious as to what you think about this, because if I remember correctly, and tell me if I'm wrong, but MAGA was the movement that was all rah-rah about Doge, eliminating government waste, right? To the point where you all were happy. You said, look at how great Trump is. He's giving us all this $8,000 check. By the way, how'd that work out for you? Again, just honest answers appreciated, because you need to see the reality of the situation. There's a big difference between what Trump says and what he does. Don't listen to what he says. Look at what he does. Actions speak louder than words. Now, the other thing you need to understand about this bailout, and the reason Trump is giving Argentina this bailout, is because the ruler of Argentina is Trump's buddy. And Trump uses the U.S. Treasury like his own personal pocketbook, like his own bank account. Only it's a bank account that he doesn't have to be responsible for because it's not really his money. So he can throw it willy-nilly. He can use it to curry favor. He can use it to pay off people that have done something for him. Okay. I didn't want to go into this digression, but what do you think? What do you, as a MAGA, think about Trump bailing out Argentina to the tune of $20 billion. Meanwhile, our soy farmers here in the United States are going bankrupt. Let's hear it.
So, what do we call it when the government terrorizes its own people? Because that's what it sounded like at Quantico this morning. He stood up there and straight up said, we have to handle the so-called enemy from within. And who's that? Not some outside threat. He's talking about us. Protesters, journalists, teachers. Anybody who doesn't agree. Imagine being a citizen of this country and hearing the president call you an enemy. And then he doubled down and said we're going to use American cities as training grounds for our military. Like, excuse me. My neighborhood isn't a practice zone. My street is not a war game. That's not defense, y'all. That is intimidation. And here's the part that kind of stuck with me. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. But there goes your rank and there goes your future. He's giving mob boss. He doesn't want loyalty to the country. He wants loyalty to himself. And then there's that wild line that he said. There are 2 N-words and you can't use either of them. He threw nuclear war and racial slurs in the same sentence like it was supposed to be some sort of joke. That shit's not funny. It's dangerous and it tells you exactly what he values, which is nothing. But here's the scariest part. He's not hiding. He's saying it all on camera. Flags behind him, soldiers in uniform, people clapping under duress, maybe? None of this is normal. So yeah, what do we call it when the government terrorizes its own people? Because the legal definition of domestic terrorism is intimidation or violence used to push a political agenda. So tell me why this doesn't fit.
He said he will target and punish those who disagree with him or refuse to bend to his will. He calls these Americans the enemy within and says that he would use the American military to go after American citizens. Journalists whose stories he doesn't like. Nonpartisan election officials who refuse to cheat by finding a few extra votes for him. Judges who insist on following the law instead of following him. It is for reasons like these that General Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Donald Trump's top general, has called Trump, and I quote, fascist to the core.
I need someone with military background or career military family to explain to me what happens next. After the President of the United States and the head of the Department of War, the Fox News host, told our most decorated generals and admirals in the United States military that they were too fat and that they needed to shave and that their female counterparts are worth nothing. And that they're going to be told to occupy American cities to practice on American citizens for military training. Now, I know a lot of our military are conservative Republicans, maybe even most. I don't know the statistics around it. But you can't tell me that every single general and admiral in that room didn't know what they were being told was a violation of the Constitution. So what happens next? Do they finally stand up and say no more? Or does everyone just continue to fall in line?
Breaking news. Donald Trump's government shutdown is here. What? Yes, Donald Trump's government shutdown is here. This is his 3rd government shutdown that we've had under Donald Trump. 2 in the previous administration. Yes, as of midnight tonight, starting October 1, the government now is shut down. And this has Donald Trump's hands all over it. You can thank him when you can't get certain government services because these agencies are now shut down. Hopefully you don't need to apply for Social Security, get a Social Security card, for example. Can't do it. If you're getting paid from Social Security, that'll continue. But you need to do paperwork for something, not going to happen. Why are we in this shutdown situation? We're in this shutdown situation because Donald Trump refuses to fund health care, period. They are cutting out the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, that 22 million people get. And they're also cutting Medicaid so that another 15 million people are losing their coverage there. So we've got about 37 million people that are impacted up front. Now, what's going to happen to everybody else when these people drop off? Your insurance costs are going to go up too, because there are going to be fewer people in the pool of available people to spread the cost over. So your costs are going to go up. Again, these rural hospitals in many rural areas, if they aren't closing already, they will be. This is all to fund a huge tax cut, a $1 trillion tax cut for the richest of the rich. We're using our health care, taking the $1 trillion from it, and we're giving it to the richest of the rich. You wait and see this next year on your taxes, you see what you get. You can see most of you are paying more. But the richest of the rich, they are getting a ton of money. I'll later do a video on that and try to break it down in some brackets to give some examples. They're getting it, and you can thank Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, John Thune, and all the Republicans for this. All of them. And you know what? And Susan Collins, yep, you and Lisa Murkowski, y'all are to blame too. Yes, you are. There you have it. Love you for my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, my burned out light bulbs. Let me know what you think. Donald Trump's government shutdown number 3 is here, starting tonight.
I want you to realize that this is not a Republican versus Democrat fight. Donald Trump wants it to be red versus blue, but it's not. This is a billionaire who is trying to take your healthcare away by pitting you against brown people who are not even eligible for healthcare subsidies in the first place. He wants vulnerable white people fighting vulnerable brown people so that no one pays attention to the billionaire trying to consolidate power who has no need for ACA subsidies. Like, let's be clear here. He doesn't give a shit about the ACA because it doesn't impact him, but it impacts regular people. And so he needs to launch a culture war so that you all don't realize that he is fucking you over with this move. Do not be fooled. Do not allow him to mock you. Do not debase yourself into being his puppet while he pits working class people against each other as a way to consolidate more wealth and more power for himself.
What we are seeing is a pattern that many Americans are beginning to recognize. Trump's policies, from the tariffs that are bankrupting the family farms to the bailouts for Argentina, while the US farmers are begging for help. It doesn't really feel like it's Americans first, but it feels like it's Americans last. Farmers are losing their family lands, seniors are being pushed out of the assisted living facilities, and the hospitals are closing one by one. And also, small businesses are struggling under the heavy tariffs that the American people are the ones who are paying for. And at the same time, billionaires are getting richer and richer. Even more troubling, there are reports of military training planned for the US cities, which is raising serious constitution questions and making ordinary Americans feeling like the government is treating them like the enemies instead of the citizens that they are. And then there is the government shutdown, used not as a tool for negotiation, but as a weapon. Programs like healthcare, education, and support for vulnerable families are put at risk. Ordinary people have to pay the price, while the elites and the Trump circles never feel the pain. This is why so many Americans are asking, is it really making America great again, or is it tearing down the very people who make America strong?
So, let's talk about that military speech and what happened and what's likely to happen. First of all, Mr. Secretary of War walked out to a very cold reception. Then he told all the upper brass that they are way too lax at their jobs. And he didn't really like the way that the military is looking lately. He doesn't want any facial hair, and he doesn't want to see any fat people. He said that fat soldiers and upper ranks are a bad look for this country. And as Gavin Newsom pointed out, I guess our commander-in-chief needs to go then. Because this is not the picture of svelte. He basically said everybody in the military, including top brass, are going to have a physical strength test every single year. Forget the fact that Petey has never seen a day of combat or action in his entire life, but he's going to tell these people they need to do more. Oh, and he says that the physical strength test should be for everybody. So there doesn't need to be different standards for different people in the military. So women, you're going to have to take the same physical endurance test that the men are.
And I'm sure he thinks that this is his back door to trying to get women out of combat roles. Because these little ladies should not be serving in war. They should be at home, serving their man, doing what he says, taking orders from him. Now, they didn't specifically say that they have to sign some sort of loyalty oath to the president, but it was heavily implied. He basically said, if you don't like what we're saying here, feel free to step down, or you might be reassigned somewhere else. And I know there are probably a lot of people freaking out about this, but I am not. You know why? Because I want them to fuck up as much as they can, just as fast as they can. Because the more they do that, the faster it is before the military goes, okay, enough of this shit. Because these people did not sign an oath to a president. They signed an oath to the U.S. Constitution. They're going to follow that before they follow him. So let little Petey do his little power plays now. When this regime is out of power, he's going to be barking orders at his fellow inmates, I guess. There is no way that this country will ever be successfully run by an authoritarian regime. Most of the people in this country barely put up with a democratic republic. The thing is we don't even have to fight back. All we have to do is just not comply. Authoritarianism only works if the people fall in line. So all we have to do is just be a typical American. When they tell us what to do, we just look at them and go, fuck that.
Breaking news, Donald Trump raises tariffs on movie prices, on heavy trucks, and on furniture. What? Yes, Donald Trump raises the prices on movie tickets, movies 100%, furniture, and heavy trucks. Guess what? Tariffs are taxes. Tariffs are taxes that are paid for by the American people because of Donald Trump. Foreign companies don't pay them. Foreign countries don't pay them. The importing company does, and they in turn raise the prices higher for us. Movie theaters, for example, are having a hard time these days because lack of audience. So again, raising the prices on movies produced out of the country, which many movies are, or parts are, 100% increases our costs, which means we'll pay more, which means it hurts those companies more. Likewise, anybody else in the U.S. buying furniture, buying trucks, anything to do with shipping, everything is going to cost more, and we're the ones paying for it. Why does not MAGA and others scream about this? All the prices are going up. You complain about inflation under Biden, and Trump is, all this inflation is man-made by Trump, and I don't hear a peep. But there you have it. Prices are going up again. Trump is hurting the economy by raising more tariffs, and the American people are paying for it, and they completely don't seem to know it. That's why I call them my burned out light bulbs. They're operating in a room that's dark with the burned out light bulbs. There you have it. Love you, my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my burned out light bulbs. What do you think? More tariffs, higher prices for American consumers. What do you think? How is this helping anybody in the United States? It's not.
It's crazy to me how that America First voting group consistently votes against Americans. By their definition, America First means American tax dollars going back to American taxpayers. Yet every piece of legislation that is proposed, every attempt, every proposal to return American tax dollars to American taxpayers, they vote against. American tax dollars going back to American taxpayers looks like free education. It looks like universal health care. It looks like universal basic income. It looks like Social Security. It looks like free pre-K. It looks like infrastructure. It looks like walkable cities. It looks like green energy. It looks like free school lunch. Everything that you feel like would be American tax dollars going back to American taxpayers, you call socialism and don't want. And it seems like the only Americans you're really interested or invested in making sure that they get American tax dollars are the wealthy, which is a small percentage of Americans.
Well, I'm sorry to once again be the bearer of bad news when it comes to the Trump session we are in, but we got bad news for every generation. Gen Z faces an unprecedented job market struggle with no new job creation and so many American companies laying off and more to come. 24% of Gen Z that were laid off this year since Trump took office still cannot find a job. And this is after sending in hundreds of applications. The CEO of Fortune magazine said Gen X faces intense financial pressures from rising costs and caregiver needs. And with the rising costs under Donald Trump, 81% of Gen X report insufficient pay for the financial security they need to cover all their costs, including the rapidly rising costs. And this number, 81%, is higher than any other generation under the Trump administration. The next absolutely record-breaking number, yes, record-breaking, is that 51% of today's workforce that has hit retirement age, 51% they said they're going to continue working indefinitely because of the rising costs and especially because of health care costs. They can't live off of their retirement, including everything that they saved in their 401k. And everything this administration is doing is making it worse for everyone. This is why there's very few jobs opening up. People are they're hanging on to their jobs when they should be retiring. College graduates, when you attend a Turning Point USA campus event, is Turning Point telling you how dire the job market is for college graduates? I think not. And healthcare, going in the completely wrong direction under Donald Trump. It's bad news.
So we're 3 hours shy of a government shutdown. The last government shutdown happened in 2018. And guess who was our president? President Donald Trump. Yes, he let the government shut down for 35 days because they refused to fund the Mexico border wall, which really never got completed. And the reason Donald Trump is going to allow the government to shut down, because he doesn't want to fund Medicaid. Yep, health care is not for all. People under Obamacare's premiums are about to shoot the fuck up. Some of them almost 114%. And right now, the Democrats are trying to hold the line so we can get this back on track. And Medicaid can be funded again. Now, when the government shuts down, essential workers won't have jobs. Federal workers, y'all be working for free. So don't go to the airport. Oh, and all you National Guard in Portland, y'all ain't getting paid either. SNAP and WIC are in jeopardy. And so is Section 8 housing. Head Start will also be in jeopardy. And so much more. It's crazy that Democrats have to go this far in order to save Medicaid, when Medicaid should have never been on the chopping block. And if Trump has his way, Medicaid will be gone. That was a part of that big, beautiful bill everybody was talking about was so fucking great. I have a question. Are we great yet?
Thank you so much for watching this video and being part of this conversation. I want to hear from you. Do you believe that Trump is putting American first, or are the ordinary people being put or left behind while the billionaire and the foreign interests are the one who are benefiting? Please drop your comments and thoughts in the comment section below. If you found this video eye-opening, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. Until next time, take care, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.